Good morning to all of you. Welcome back to the Namaste Experience on this beautiful, beautiful, glorious Tuesday morning here in Mexico. It has been raining, raining, raining every day, which is so glorious. It's amazing how something that some might see as annoying, all the challenges that come with falling rain. Like, for example, here in Mexico, in Ajijic, those of you who live here know that because all the roads are in a downward slant toward the lake, when it rains really hard, those streets turn into rivers, little streams, sometimes mighty streams. And all the rocks and all the dirt and everything on those streets gets pulled down into the main road, the carretera. Just one of those things. And yet, at the same time, we recognize that this is bringing life. This is cleansing. This is announcing something that is deep within each one of us, that only love is real. Before we started, I saw that Vicky is wearing her shirt with our motto: only love, only God, only now. If we would but remember that, especially when the rains come and we have a decision of how to see something. Are we going to see this as life-giving or annoying? I think everyone here has seen it as life-giving, because last year, of course, we did not have a good rainy season, and the environment, the hills, the lake really need it. And yet we have a propensity as egoic beings to see things from a different perspective. Okay, to see things not as they really are, but how we are choosing for them to be. So the ego mind, or the split mind, that which is split off from its self, with a capital S, has the tendency to delude itself into believing that the impossible is not only possible, but that it's already true. Did you hear that? The ego mind, the split mind, has a powerful propensity to delude itself into believing that the impossible is not only possible, but that it's true already. It's already happening. The simple truth that we are as God created us is perceived as unlikely, while the ego's claimed littleness becomes the foundation upon which we build reality. Does that sound at all familiar? This is what the ego mind, the split mind, is made to do. To keep us little and to believe all the strange illusions, all the ideas that we put into our mind, no matter how strange. In fact, sometimes the stranger, the better. Let me give you an example. There is someone that I know here in town, an older woman who is completely convinced that she has been having for months now a daily phone conversation with Anderson Cooper. And Anderson has told her that he is leaving his husband so that he can be with this woman who's in her mid-80s and wants to sell everything, give up his jobs, give up everything he's ever done to move to Ajijic to be with this woman. Now, to you, hearing it like this, it's immediately doesn't make any sense. Why would Anderson Cooper, a gay man who's married to another man who is very well known around the world, want to move to Ajijic to be with this 85-year-old woman? It doesn't make any sense. But no matter how hard people try to convince this woman that this is not true, that there's a scam going on here, she absolutely refuses to believe. This is the propensity of the split mind to make the insane real, while at the same time making the reality that is forever real seem insane. That you are as God created you, that you are whole, that you are one, that there's only one thing happening here. That is perceived as insanity. Whereas the idea that Anderson Cooper is going to leave his husband and move to Ahihic is perceived not only as sane, but real. This is just one example. We could come up with 1,000 more that each one of us believe. You know, when I was in Minneapolis, I spent a good amount of time with a friend that I made, a woman who is from Germany. So we talked a lot about what the conditions were in the early part of the 20th century that allowed a very, very intelligent country to go completely mad. What were the conditions that convinced the German people to follow a man who was clearly insane, Adolf Hitler, and to get behind him with gusto, to the point that obviously today Germans, well, it's still going to take a long time for them to work this out of their psyche, to realize just how, even if it wasn't them, even if it was their ancestors, to see how easily we can be fooled by the insanity of the split mind. But of course, we say that can't happen to us. Of course, we believe that we would be wise to an Adolf Hitler type character coming along and challenging all the things that we hold dear in our democracy. Really? Do you really believe that? Or is that just something that you want to believe? I mean, I'm not going to get political here, maybe just a little bit, but it's clear if we look honestly, not only at our own minds, but what we are creating together, that propensity of the split mind to make the impossible not only possible, but true right now is still happening. And until because there's only one who needs to get this. Remember, yesterday's session was all based on it only takes one. It only takes one to break through the illusion that the ego mind has, it makes any sense at all. It only takes one to break through that. And I'm the one that is doing that needs to do that. And each one of us says the same thing. Of course, if we believe if we're followers of Jesus, for example, we could say, well, Jesus conquered death. Jesus is our elder brother who went before us to make straight the way into oneness, into wholeness. Yes, that's true, but we have to follow. We can't just say thank you and go on living the lives that we've been living, believing the insane ideas that we have been convinced of. So the mind that is always turned inward to see what is real, it becomes the extension of one self, the extension of one reality. But the mind that is always turned outward becomes the projection of the split self. So there's no place, I think we know this now, there's no place where those two meet. There's no place where the split mind and whole mind meet. There is a choice that needs to be made. And it's a choice that needs to be made every moment. Am I going to choose to see through the lens of insanity, where Anderson Cooper is packing his bags, buying his ticket to Guadalajara? I'm arranging for a taxi to, Moy already knows what time his flight comes and he's going to go pick him up. To this woman, that is completely sane. And no matter how many people, including her own children, who sit down with her and say, darling, this is not true. Until she has a direct experience of truth, she will not believe it. And it's the same thing for each one of us. I or any other whole mind can look at you and say, darling, this is not true. This split universe, this egoic world is not true, but you have to have a direct experience of what is true in order to come to that realization. So that's just one little example, but I think that if we look through our own mind, we can probably come up with 1,000 more completely insane things that I have believed, that I've given all of my energy to. And yet now, perhaps, I have come into an experience where I see through what I thought was real to the reality that is forever real. So we're going to start there, and we'll see where this discussion goes. I'm going to go ahead and bring Vicky in now, and of course, Vicky has never done this. Vicky has never believed anything that is completely insane. So she is the perfect example for us to follow. So, Vicky, now that I have set you up on a pedestal,
Only to let
take
me
it away.
crash and fall. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Happy rains. Happy everything. So this is, and I tell you this from experience too. So this is how I would see. We'll start with the little old lady in Ahihi, the 85-year-old lady who's now my age group. It's getting younger and younger, these numbers to me. Anyway, this is how I would see here. This sister had a miraculous holy instant moment of communion. This sister had a deep joining, and she knows that's true. Now, she may have come back into her separated ego mind, but the knowledge of her communion with Anderson Cooper is more true, more possible than everything else that seems to be. And I would applaud her, go with it, and celebrate that. Truly, I would. Next time I go to Ahihi, you bring me to this lady, because I want to sit with her, because this is a witness to Holy Communion to me.
Tell us the story about your father when he was in bed.
All right. So Louis was 92 when he passed. So he's about 90, 2 years before he passed. So he's 90 years old. He's in bed. He and Rosie are in bed for 5 years because whatever. They weren't sick. They just were in bed for whatever reason. Anyway, and every morning I'd go in and I'd bring them breakfast on a tray, 7 a.m. every morning, and have to be on my toes smiling no matter what, or he'd throw me out of the room with the breakfast and tell me, you get out of here, that breakfast will make me sick. Yeah, you come back when you're happy. So I did, so I showed up, and he's looking at me. He's pounding his hand on the bed, and forgive my sacred profanity. That's what we called it with Louis, sacred profanity. He's pounding his hand. He's saying, Jesus Christ, son of a bitch, you're not going to believe what happened to your father last night. I said, Daddy, what happened? What happened? It must be one of those miracles. Must be Mary. Daddy, what happened? They made your father head of the United States government. I said, Daddy, that's wonderful. Now, remember, he's 92 and totally lucid. My mother had a little sundowners, but not Louis. Louis sharp as a tack. He can tell you what happened when he was 5 years old and when he was 90 years old. He knew, he was sharp as a tack. He had no dementia. He had no memory loss. He was as certain. When I tell you certain, this is what revelation does. He was as certain that he was head of the United States government as the sun rose in the sky today, that we are certain that it rose. That's how certain he was, and how certain he lived the next 2 years of his life, so much so that he would not let me or any of us in the room without wearing white, and sparkling white. I mean, 24/7, and 3 a.m. when I'd walk them to the bathroom or something, have to have sparkly whites on. My sister made sparkly capes. But the truth is, I knew because I saw it in him. Just like I can hear this old lady. This lady had a moment of communion. It's impossible she didn't, unless she's so demented in every other way, perhaps. I don't know. But I would still go with, this is communion. This woman knows that she has joined. And right now in time, it looks like it's this one particular brother. But she had a moment of union. Louis had a moment of knowing he was 100% responsible for everything, for the whole world, for America. So he proceeded to be in charge. He would have me go places, and I went and do tell people things and bring them baklava. And we always had a lot of paper plates. You know, we were in the food business, so we always had a stack of paper plates that he used as his writing pad. So he would give everyone a paper plate with his name and serial number, authorizing them to be a general or a captain or whatever, and or giving them some benefit. Truly, he did. I have some of these plates. When you come, I'll show you. So, but he was so certain that he was head of the government because he had to have had a revelation that knew he was 100% responsible for everything in his world. And the best part is he was willing to take on the responsibility for it and be loving. He wanted to love everybody. He wanted everyone to get everything. All these papers he gave us so we could go and get something or whatever it was. But he lived in the peace and in the joy of that. And I thank God I had enough sight to recognize it, Johnny on the spot. Walking in with the tray of breakfast, I said, Daddy, this is incredible. This is wonderful. This is the most wondrous, and it was the most wondrous thing that Louis had this revelatory experience. He knew he was the Christ. He didn't know it in those words, but he knew it. And he knew he was responsible. And he took on the responsibility and he answered every situation with love. Even us, we could not walk in that room. I'm telling you, I had Bonnie's here, she knows. We had 3 sparkly capes in the closet as you entered their room. And I had to put on a sparkly cape at 3 in the morning or 3 in the afternoon before I entered that room. And I had to always be in white. He said, kid, don't you know you're the lamp, you're the torch. You got to wear white. You got to sparkle. You have to shine. And he knew that about everyone, but he knew I would do it. And he was right. I did it. I would do it. But I would just say, answer every call for love with vision, not with love that's filled with vision. See the holiness in everyone. What have you got to lose? What are you going to do? Argue with the old lady? Oh, you're wrong. There's no way Anderson Cooper's coming here. Thank God you love this man. Thank God you have this union that you know is true inside of you, because that union she's talking about is much more true than this world of time and space where Anderson Cooper seems to be married and lives far away and impossible that he come here to Ahihi. Her reality is more real. I want to claim that reality. This reality, I haven't got a clue about, politics included. I have no idea. My whole answer to all of it is, thank God I don't know, and I don't need to know. Lots of old structures are getting destructured. Lots of new forms and expressions of love are finding structure and finding themselves placed here in time through all of us. When we are wholly trusting in love, and then whatever prompts we're given to do, to open a village like Namaste with brothers and sisters living together, to open a school, to sing a song, to sing chants to angels, whatever we're given to do, the old is falling away around us, and we don't know what it looks like. Except I know, and I'm together, that we are bringing in the awareness, the light, and the Christ of what reality is by our everyday joinings, just simply by saying that prayer every day. And that statement is enough to say, I have no idea what it looks like for the light to break through this darkness, but I know that's happening. So all my faith is in the light and in the grace that's breaking through this and destructuring it in all sorts of ways. And if it looks like it's more chaotic than ever, so be it. I have no idea, but I trust that it's helpful. I trust that it's helpful. I trust that God's plan benefits everyone. Joel Goldsmith would say, thy grace is my sufficiency. I trust that. I depend on that. I live on that. I depend on those miracles. And then where I'm to go, who I'm to vote for, what I'm to do, it has to show up in a present moment of love. Lana had a nice saying. Some of you know Lana. She said Jesus told her the most courageous thing she could do, or any of us could do, is respond with love to fear, no matter what it looks like, because trusting that truth is underneath all of these appearances allows truth to resonate in us, to emanate. Remember, this is about energy and frequency, to radiate and energize through us and not be fooled by appearances of separation. Let them be those, own responsibility, feel it, turn it over, but don't make any judgments about it, except that I am here as the light of the world to dispel the darkness. Love, vision, heals all sense of loss and separation. Okay, that's my pulpit for the day.
Right.
Thank you, Brother James. Thank you, everybody. I love you.
I love that story about Louis. Of course, I knew Louis. He kicked me out of the house a few times, but I can just see him, he and Rosie there in that bed, and I can see you and Noreen and Debbie all walking in with their white capes on and playing the role, playing the game, whatever it takes. Now, aren't we all going to be surprised if we're walking down the Carretera later today and Anderson Cooper is who knows? And Vicky, okay, I have a question for you, because this is about all of us. This is not about me having all the answers, you having all the answers. So I was thinking about something, and I'm going to ask you to talk about this for a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to ask Calico the same question. So that being said, everything you said, I'm right there with you. And trust Allah, but tether your camel. Hopefully her kids are changing her online passwords so that, whoever this character is not taking her money. What can we learn from that? Or what would be the response of love in that situation?
Oh, now I must have missed you saying something about that. I didn't know she had she was on a hookup with someone on a computer. But even then, because for me, I have to really live without compromise. No one's a victim. No one, including me when I looked like I was a victim, including this lady. And whatever needs to be played out in order to bring about what has been hidden, so be it. I mean, it looks like abuse sometimes. It looks like being a victim sometimes. But for me, if I'm seeing it and it alarms me, then I go back to me. I am alarmed that someone else could be a victim because I still believe in separation and there's such a thing as being a victim. Otherwise, if I am not alarmed, then I am truly helpful here in vision, steady and trusting that if I am to be helpful, I'll be shown a way, maybe to go have a cup of tea with her, maybe whatever, but I will be shown a way, not by my thinking mind to resolve the problem that looks like a problem to everyone else. I don't know. I just know that I would know if I'm not bothered by it, I would know where I could be truly helpful. So on hearing it, I will be truly helpful, the best that I can be, in recognizing if that trauma upsets me, I'll own it, I'll feel it, I'll turn it over again. And there's no exception to that. And if I'm physically in a proximity to the lady, if I'm listening, I would be alert to the prompts. If I'm alert to go and have tea or go have a conversation or whatever, I do it. And if not, I wouldn't judge it and I would step back and trust it.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay,
Jane,
Calico, same
yeah, because
question.
I've got a cab to catch. I just need to say, from my experience, I've had many people fear for me. because I lived in, and then all of a sudden, everyone's whispering, did you hear? She's giving all her money away and moving to Mexico. Well, I could be crazier than the hoot owl. I may very well be, but the reality is I'm happy. So, and and the beautiful part about it was, I think even though people were concerned for my well-being, they knew I had cancer, it was terminal, yada, yada. And they just went, just leave her alone. She's just leave her alone. So on that level, they didn't agree with me, but they just left me alone. And I think that's, with this woman, just leave her alone. She's happy. She's talking with Anderson Cooper. Yeah, they can switch passwords, do whatever, but they need to also, while they're doing that, look at what is the fear? What is the fear? Losing money. You see, I got over that one very quickly because I'm having everything provided by God. Talk about crazy. Talk about totally insane. And the reality is, it's not our money anyway. It's God's money and everything. I mean, again, I'm talking about, yeah, I'm president of the United States. Hell, I don't know, but I know that I'm happy, I'm content, and just everyone around me, leave me alone. Let me just, giggle quietly to myself, and we'll move through this together because there's nothing to fear. That's where I'm at this point. Thanks,
Oh,
guys. I
beautiful.
love you all.
Enjoy the market. Okay, so this will be the final thing that I will say, and we will expand more on this tomorrow. So this is kind of an intro to tomorrow, and many of you, maybe most of you, have heard this before because I think this is the critical teaching. I'll just say it in a very short way. I don't know. Maybe I love you. So tomorrow we will dive into that sacred teaching, and that is always the answer. It's the answer if you think Anderson Cooper is going to walk through the door any moment, or if you believe you're the president of the United States, or whatever it might be. That's always the answer. I don't know. Maybe I love you. And there's the bell. So together we say, Amen, 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 y punto. Have a great day. We love you. Namaste.